3 years ago, my friends Dariush and Layla moved to Australia on a student visa. And not long after coming to Australia from an Islamic country, they actually heard the good news of Jesus and they put their trust in Jesus and became Christian. And soon after that, it meant they actually had trouble at home. It actually meant that money to be an international student was cut off. They were cut off from families, cut off from relationship. There was a court order out against Dariush that meant that if he was to return to his homeland, he'd go straight to prison for becoming a Christian. Going back to their home country was not really an option. And so we met them 2 years after that. After they'd been in Australia for 2 years, they started coming to our church and really got on well with them, and were glad to meet them and glad to help them out in whatever way that we could. But a week later, I actually received a phone call from Dariush, and they'd been taken to Villawood Detention Centre. Their bridging visa was up and they were kind of in a limbo land. I remember at the time thinking, I don't know how many people can actually help them. They're not that known. They're fairly recently Christian. They've only just started coming to a new church, and so it kind of struck me that this could be something we could do, help them out in whatever way. Didn't know what that would look like at the time. In the space of that phone call though, I was kind of getting ready to speak at a big youth conference only a week or so later, and I remember on the phone thinking, God, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to, this is going to be costly, it's going to take time. But I couldn't help but, even in the space of that phone call, coming back to the Bible passage I was actually preparing to speak on. And one of those passages, I'm almost saying to God in the midst of that conversation, God, I don't have time for this. I've got to prepare this talk and tell all these teenagers how to love people radically. The text was 1 John chapter 3, which says, "This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth." Kind of at that point, thinking, there's no way I can just do nothing at this point. I don't know where else they can turn to. I don't know who else they can get some help from. And there's a sense in which it felt like here is an opportunity to put into practice what you're about to preach. Over the course of 6 months, we spent time with them. We went in and visited them. We offered them whatever support we could legally and financially and spiritually. And one of the reasons we were able to get them out after 6 months was because we took them into our home. We invited them in and gave them a couple of rooms and welcomed them into our family. And we've been able to walk with them for that last 12 months since then, as they've ongoingly applied for asylum in Australia. They've ongoingly sought to seek protection from our country. And it really has been, in one sense, a crazy thing to do, to open our doors to people that are very different, who eat very different food, who keep very different hours, who, there's lots that's inconvenient, that's cost us money and all that type of stuff, but being struck by the opportunity that we've been able to care for them and help them and support them because Jesus has cared for us, supported us and helped us in our time of need. Our hope is that soon that they will actually have permanent residency and protection in Australia. But we are glad that we've been able to do whatever we've been able to do to help them in whatever way we've been able to help them. (1 John chapter 4 verse 19) says that we love because he first loved us. Take Love, the initiative of Anglicare, is an awesome way to get young people to take love to all sorts of different people. My name's Dave Myers. I'm the Youth Minister at St Faith's Anglican Church in Narrabeen on Sydney's Northern Beaches.